Hello everyone, this is Cookies. I've got turn 45 of same Kidzin, different salt. We finally got a new turn. Not a lot of action this turn, so this one might be a little bit short. So we've got Mekone with an E3 Archon and a few Giganti Hoplites going after some of the last remnants of TNG. Got this Hinnom party. A lot of Jade Maidens. No way in hell they're all going to get blessed. Looks like maybe 5 of them did. But they actually do pretty well there. Loses 1 in Banded Hills. So we got a few longbows and we have some Mazics. Got an Inari down here with a little bit of Skelly spam. Looks like we've got 2 commanders. Let's see where the Mazics land. What are we doing? Okay, let's take a look. These guys are on fire and keep distance. The Mazics annihilated the Inari. There's a few more fighting the mannequins. The main group is on that Inari. If they kill this commander back here, looks like all the leadership's gonna go away. They've already lost the undead leadership, so the mannequins are dissolving, which I think might have HP routed the whole force, even if the commander didn't run. Alright, so fairly budget way to take out this Sauromatian force. Loses 8 Mazics to take out 83 mannequins and an Inari. And then we've got Jilini Agora. I think Sauromatia might have been AI for this turn, so they've already GG'd out, but we can double check really quick. Alright, then we've got, they might not want to wait out the sieges on their forts when they don't really have anything. Mekone storming TNG, not much inside. There's a handful of sacreds and summons. Mechanical men trying to push through. He's just going to eat the cost to push through here. Whole bunch of Salamander Asp holding the front line. He finally works his way through those. Let's see. This guy was made ethereal, so he did have a little bit of ethereal point buffing. Okay. And takes over the fort. So, loses a few things, but, I mean, for taking a capital, perfectly acceptable, just a few troops. And then, let's say, oh, that was Glannis, not, that was the fort next to TNG. And we have an attack on Mekone. Couple of giant rats. Looks like maybe the... I think that's like the visual bug there. But they get fended off by the Mekone Draconian Chief. Then we've got a Gala here, getting snuck up on by a couple of large spiders. They're going to run past her to get at this bodyguard. Okay. And then Mother Oak went up. That's the global Yeah, so puts up Mother Oak. We have Eyes of God from TNC. Which means, which I think plays into some of the Diplo here. And then we've got Eternal Pyre by Berytos and Stellar Focus by Marverni. So some of the diplomacy that I've been told is there's a conspiracy afoot. And the conspiracy is Berytos and Xibalba are conspiring to kill Helheim and Mekone. So I suppose Berytos would push into this region. Xibalba could push into Helheim from this way. And then I guess is going to do a lot of fighting against Mekone. And I guess Xibalba can also come up this way. Now, notably left out of this conspiracy was Hinnom. And I do wonder if all 5 of these players fight each other, if Hinnom's going to be able to sneak out their throne rush. So right now, maybe they talked about Iron Peaks, because Xibalba has moved off Iron Peaks after killing that Melkart. Okay. So maybe they've talked about borders here. Hinnom needs to wrap up a few last forts. Let me see here. Yeah, and Sauromatia has indeed gone AI. All right. Which is a little sad, because now they have this fort here that they potentially could have done things with, but now it'll be the AI doing things with it. But yeah, Hinnom needs to consolidate this territory, and they need to get these thrones claimed. They are building a fort on Grey Barrier, which they also need to do. If they're planning a throne rush, they need to work on claiming some of this stuff. And then what they're looking at is they potentially will have to siege down this Mekone fort, which does have armies, or Marverni fort, not Mekone, which does have armies next to it. And then they're still gonna have to make a play on the Throne of Death, but I mean, we'll see what they end up doing. Might be a little bit soon to think about this. They're also building a fort on their other throne. So yeah, definitely a little bit of infrastructure needs to be getting set up right now. Xibalba, meanwhile, building up Jaguar numbers. Okay. Rather than, what's it, Ocelotls. They're also building a fort in Star Peaks. So they've recognized how important Star Peaks is for movement through this area. It's really Barra, Star Peaks, and Griffin Rock, because there is a river here, although it is frozen at the moment. But yeah, this part of the map can get very congested, so building a fort here makes a ton of sense. We do see some of the troops starting to mass. Gosh, he's got so many troops. Okay. And what I do wonder is Tianchi was the one with Eyes of God, so maybe he was successfully able to build a coalition to avenge his death at the hands of Mekone and Helheim. So that information might be getting used against them. What's also interesting is both Mekone and Helheim also have mundane graphs due to the crone, and I forget where it is, Mountain of Revelation. And so, yeah, there's a lot of graphs rolling around in here. Nothing's been posted in game chat, but I'm sure stuff has been posted in DMs. So maybe Berytos and Ur are seeing their giant armies and they're like, hey, maybe we can kill two really tough nations and try and pull ahead here by going after these two. And Xibalba's maybe like, okay, as long as I'm not getting coalitioned, I'll join in. So I think this is potentially the three largest armies going after two of the smaller players in terms of army size. So we see ramping up unit production, eclipsing even Berytos at this point. We got Xibalba rebuilding the zoo, which is about where it was when he started the war with Lanka. And then we've got everyone else with armies nowhere near as big. Marverni doesn't have the economy, and they haven't done enough Great Boar spam to catch up yet. Helheim might not have the economy yet. They're struggling to get siege staff to put down TNG's forts. Mekone, I don't know. It just seems like they've stopped making giants. Maybe they're focusing on research. If you trust the players in a game, you can use a nap to put out a whole bunch of troops all at once during the nap cooldown. So maybe they're relying on that. But I do wonder if he should maybe be having a few more giants already ready to go for numbers, since they are recruitment capped. And then we've got Hinnom and Fomoria. Fomoria is just a single cap kind of small nation, kind of like Marverni. And then Hinnom needs to consolidate and get down unrest. So they've got a couple more Sauromatian forts. Where'd Hinnom go? So here and here, they've unrested the shit out of them. So it's just a lot of unrest everywhere. This whole Sauromatian region is basically raided to hell. No one's happy here. No one's paying taxes. So a fair number of the populations have been eaten by Helheim or Hinnom's troops. So yeah, he's gonna have to get a lot of birds rolling around trying to, and maybe normal troops and long dead, get them moving around patrolling out unrest. And that's aside from the fact that he may want to be blood hunting right now too. So it's gonna take a while for Hinnom to properly absorb this land, which is definitely a downside of Hinnom if you're using rough fights. Fomoria and Marverni are still single caps. Helheim's cracked one of the forts. They're starting to bring in Valkyries. Valkyries are pretty nice because they have insane map move. Or that's not. Here we go. Insane map move at 26. And also they have, because they're a flyer, they have decent siege strength. So getting a lot of Valkyries can help siege down these forts faster. He's also building up a number of ghouls, using those death gems to also try and get some more siege staff. So he's trying to be quick about this so he can consolidate the region. And then yeah. I don't think we've killed the cat just yet, have we? No, we haven't. Did he make a stealth item for the cat, or did I forget if the cat died too? I don't think it did. Maybe I'm just behind though. Alright. But yeah, a war between and Mekone definitely makes sense. A little surprised Xibalba's joining. Maybe a war against Hinnom would make some sense for them. But this might be a war where they can get maybe what they're thinking is some easy gains, like this fort here, maybe some land here, and then also some of the Helheim land over here they could go for. Kind of depends on how they're trying to divide up the two nations they're attacking. There's a tremendous amount of gold in scales production and scaling production from blood aimed at these two factions now. So we'll see how they survive. And then we'll also see if Hinnom, Marverni, or Fomoria interact at all to maybe try and stop it or use it as an expansion opportunity. So, kind of waiting to see what they do. The Marverni army's moving around at least. All right. But yeah, pretty quiet turn. I anticipate it'll be a few more turns before we get some action. I heard this might happen in 6 turns or so. So I think we've got a little bit more ramp up period before shit hits the fan again. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. And I suppose I could go through the graphs really quick and then we'll cut it off. So we've got Hinnom, Xibalba, and on provinces. For forts, we've got Berytos, Mekone, and Xibalba. For income, we've got Berytos, Xibalba, Hinnom, and Helheim. And it's kind of funny that Hinnom's the province leader, but they've got half the income of For gem income, we've got way up here, Xibalba, Berytos, Hinnom, and Marverni. Blood income is Berytos, and everyone else is much further behind. And then for research, we've got Berytos, Marverni, Fomoria, and Helheim. For army size, we've got Berytos, and Xibalba, followed by everyone else. And for thrones, here's the layout on thrones. Hinnom's got a couple of unclaimed ones. And then Mekone hasn't claimed the Throne of the Artificer yet. And I think that's it for this one. So I will go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.